there, welcome to today's edition of Bernama Today. I'm Jessie Chahel, of course from our studio at Wisma Bernama, coming to you live. A big thank you to my colleague Elaine for the news stories on Midday Update earlier. Here's what I picked up for the next half an hour. Firstly, senseless people and a painted dog. More on that shortly. And it's all systems go for the Prime Minister's biopic. And apparently mothers abandoned by their husbands can get relief. Also in a while we'll be speaking to Sean Tan, who claims he can predict the future. Intrigued? Well, so am I. But first, here are the top stories for today. In East Malaysia, Sarawak sets their heart on teaching science and maths in English. Sarawak says they are ready to implement the teaching of science and mathematics in the English language for Year 1 pupils in 1,026 primary schools in the state beginning January 1st next year. Now, training for 2,853 teachers as well as printing of books and teaching materials will cost the state government about 11 million ringgit. The implementation would not involve national type schools within the state. Now, from what we understand so far, some 220 national type Chinese primary schools have decided not to teach the two subjects in English next year. And yet another film on Prime Minister Dr. Mahathir Mohamad on his personal life will go into production beginning next month. Dr. M's biopic entitled Mahathir The Journey will begin filming on December 15th, and in this movie it will depict the 16 years from the time Dr. M opted to retire as Malaysia's fourth Prime Minister to when he took the same post again last year. Who would have thought? This comes after the release of the documentary M for Mahathir out in September, and Hasma, a biopic on Tun Dr. Siti Hasma Muhammad Ali, which is in its pre-production stage. Co-director Dr. Muhammad Hatta Azad Khan says the movie is not a political movie, but it will highlight important political events within the country. The 6 million ringgit film will be released in July next year when it is closer to the Prime Minister's 95th birthday. And some news in entertainment. Blackpink has become the first K-pop group to have a music video with more than 1 billion views on YouTube. Beat that. The female group's Do 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 music video has surpassed the threshold in the afternoon, nearly 17 months after it was released last June. Blackpink is the second K-pop artist with the achievement after, of course, singer Psy, whose mega hit Gangnam Style has 3.4 billion views on YouTube. I know you've, of course, watched that as well. The quartet now here, who have debuted in 2016, is one of the most popular groups on the K-pop scene. Did you know that Korea brings in billions in tourism via its K-pop industry? And finally, some relief from the constant phone notifications. Now, Facebook users will also soon be able to hide the red notification dots as part of a feature that lets users control what comes up in their navigation bar. It's about time. The feature, called Shortcut Bar Settings, allows users to remove tabs they don't often use, including things like the Marketplace, Facebook Watch, Facebook Groups, Events, Profile, Friend Requests, News, Today in Gaming, and as well as Dating. Or otherwise, just silence the red dot notifications. Now, TechCrunch has confirmed with a Facebook spokesperson that the feature is already available for the iOS platform and will be rolled out to Android users over the next few weeks. To use this feature, tap and hold a shortcut in the navigation bar and a prompt will pop up so easily, giving users the option to remove the tab or just to silence it. There are other ways as well, and you can Google instructions should you need better understanding. TechCrunch reports that the Facebook spokesperson explains people should have the ability to take a break from notifications. Thus, Facebook wants to give users more control on alerts that are relevant to them. Another initiative in its ongoing process of apologetic program post Cambridge Analytica. And moving on to the city centre in the heart of town, Taman Tasik Titiwangsa now has a water park and a nature trail and is scheduled to reopen in January. Well, change is inevitable, but good or bad, especially when we are surrounded by an urban jungle. Just look at these pictures from what will be launched in just a few months. But changes to a recreational park is of course refreshing and most welcome, especially when it's such a nostalgic park that just got a magnificent facelift, as we can see. Taman Tasik Titiwangsa is one of KL's most famous recreational parks and in existence since the British rule and a favorite for many people, in fact. But sadly, the park was closed since December last year to make way for the River of Life project. However, the park is set to be reopened in January 2020 after extensive work has been done, of course, giving it a brand new look as well. DBKL recently released some of these pictures that we're seeing of the park right now, which of course has got us very excited. Dewan Bandaraya Kuala Lumpur said the park isn't open to the public yet. For those who are regular patrons curious as to what the park has to offer, they will have to contend with mere pictures for the time being. But we can of course contain our excitement. We can't, for what is surely to be a wonderful park for all of us here in the city centre, especially God knows that we do need some of these green lungs more. Before we wrap up this segment, a quick story. A horrific incident yesterday has left residents of the relatively quiet town of Taman Kampung Padang in Kuantan absolutely shocked. The horrific episode unfolded when a mentally challenged man was seen pushing a wheelchair with a woman covered in blankets down a street. As he pushed the wheelchair past a roadside stall, members of the public who were curious stopped him to investigate, and when asked, the man replied, "I killed my own mother." To their horror, they found a corpse of a 62-year-old woman underneath, and it is believed the man had stabbed his mother to death as there were stab wounds on the left side of her neck. He also seriously injured his 26-year-old sister and her boyfriend in a struggle when both of them turned up at the scene to stop him. On that note, we take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we're joined by Sean Tan right here in the studio. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to Bernama Today. I'm Jessie Chahel. We're moving into our interview segment, Cause to Champion. Today we're speaking to Sean Tan. He's an author, an entrepreneur, and also a lawyer. And now he says or claims he can even predict the future. Sean, welcome to the studio.
Thank you.
What's going on? What stun is this? I mean, on one hand you're a professional, on the other hand, it's as if you are a clairvoyant, a psychic. What's going on?
No, it's just a hobby that I have.
Okay.
I'm not really a clairvoyant or a psychic. My main job is as a lawyer, and I'm also an entrepreneur. So I thought this is a hobby that I've indulged in since I was 9.
Okay.
And so it's something that most people don't see very often. And I normally use it for certain purposes.
So do you have an innate ability to predict the future in that sense?
I think we all have the ability. It's just whether how accurate we are. I have some, but most of the time is also I use a lot of data to supplement the ability that I have to make it a bit more accurate.
So it's factual, based on stats and research?
And a lot of research and a lot of knowledge of a lot of interest in the things that you want to predict.
But you also say you are a leading prediction expert. At the same time, you say it's a hobby. So how does this tie in?
Well, it arose from the hobby that I have. And so now I tend to do it more regularly. In this case, I'm doing it for a good cause. It's more for me to raise the awareness of 2 entities. One is Tender Hearts, which is a cafe for the intellectually disabled. And the other is for Petiwi Soup Kitchen, which provides aid for the homeless.
I see.
So, of course, they do have their own fundraising events and all that. But I thought this is something that is different. It's kind of timely at this point because of the Tanjung PI elections.
Correct. So coming to that, this event is called a Big Prediction, in which you have committed to predicting the headlines or some of the top stories in 7 different news dailies. Tell us a bit about that. And if you can also reveal some of that prediction right here, right now. Now,
I can't reveal what they are, otherwise it will spoil the reveal on the 17th.
Okay, which is this Sunday?
On the 17th of November, this Sunday. The 7 major print newspapers are NSC, The Star, Sinchu, China Press, Nanyang, and Harian Metro, Berita Harian. So these are the 7 major print newspapers. I'm predicting what they will print on the 17th of November. Of course, Tanjung by-election results will be out by then.
What is your prediction for the election?
It's sealed in a different prediction.
So you're not going to announce it now?
No, I'm not going to announce it now because it's anticlimactic if I were to do it. But I want people to actually come for the show, which is held on the 17th of November at BAC College at 12 noon. Donate 100 ringgit. And the 100 ringgit will buy 20 meals for the homeless. You get to see an hour-long show with me doing a lot of other stuff.
Like what?
Ending mind reading stuff.
Mind reading?
Like mind reading, like reading a person's mind.
So how can you do that if you don't really have an ability as such?
Well, it is a lot of psychology.
Okay.
Also, if you have a lot of interest in behavior, in people's behaviors, also a lot of interest in statistics, then you can do it to a certain extent.
So does this mean that psychics and clairvoyants are, up in the air?
No, those are a different category altogether. I'm not in that category. Mine is more deductions based on the facts that are known to me.
So you believe that we can all be a predictor?
I think so, yeah. We can all be one. Just matter how much knowledge and how much data that you have. That makes the difference, right? So, so this event is meant to publicize these two entities. And if you were to come, then we will show you even more amazing stuff. Ending with a reveal of all the 7 headlines and to see whether I actually predicted all of them correctly.
What if you don't predict them correctly?
I think I'll get at least maybe 60-70% correct. I can't get 100%
You're quite confident
for sure.
of that?
Quite confident, I think. Yeah.
60 to 70% accurate.
Hopefully it'll be more.
Okay, and if
but
it's
it will
not?
never be 100%.
And if
it's not, it's not. At least I tried.
Okay.
But
well, what's great about this is you raising awareness for these two, I guess, different areas, social enterprise as well as a mobile soup kitchen that really need help as well. People say gut feeling. I go with my gut feeling. What does your intuition tell you? How do you sort of justify this, or how do you work with that in terms of when you try to, predict based on facts and research and stats, but at the same time, do you go with a gut feeling or intuition?
The gut feeling is still a part of the formula as well. So you can't actually disassociate yourself from there. So you add all these together, the facts that I have, the interest in what's going to happen in the next few days. I did it maybe about a month ago. I'm just focusing on this all the time, and then doing all the research.
Focusing on this all the time.
Meaning I'm spending all my time thinking about it, rather than just waiting for inspiration to come or waiting for things to come. It doesn't work that way. So I spend my time thinking about the 17th of November, what could happen on that day, and these are some of the things that could possibly happen. Now, would they happen on the 17th, or on the 15th, or on the 16th? That is a different thing.
Could you give us a brief outline, though, of some of your thoughts on what could happen?
I don't predict, bad news and stuff like that. That's not what I want.
No 4D numbers and all of that.
No, 4Ds and stuff, no.
Okay.
I can't do that anyway.
20 years ago, you drove blindfolded.
Yes.
Was that because you practiced real well, or what?
Basically, it's an event that where I drove blindfolded from Datana Medica to KLCC.
It's quite a distance.
To help the National Council for the Blind to raise funds. So it was very difficult. I actually spent maybe about a month going through the route back and forth because I sort of plan out the route very carefully to make sure that this is neither too long nor too short. If it's too short, nobody will be interested.
So it's not that you could see with your eyes blindfolded. It was just through proper planning and practice, right? And
also through memory, through the sound, because I was accompanied by police outriders, and I was only accompanied by them on that day. And unbeknown to all of us, because they're in front of me, so when I knew I was about near a corner, they actually slowed down before me.
So you picked up on that?
Yeah, I picked up on that because I wound the window down, and that day itself, they were actually helping me without them knowing it.
It seems like you have a lot of smarts in terms of how we can apply this in our everyday life, whether in our career, in our personal development. What's your view on applying these tools?
Oh, okay. This is actually a good thing. If you are actually interested in predicting, basically it's all about psychology. It's about noticing things around you a bit more than the regular person. You put all this together, then you tend to have a more a better ability to know what's going to happen. It's really useful if you're in sales, or if you are even as a lawyer, you can actually sort of predict what the other party is going to do.
Tricky.
So you prepare your defense ahead of time, stuff like that. So actually, there's a lot of uses for it.
Okay.
You know? Yes.
Have you ever applied this in your personal life? Because I know I would.
Personal life, as in...
you know, whether it's for fortune or fame, entertainment.
We actually do it all the time. I'm kind of like an entertainer on the side, so I actually do it almost all the time. For a certain period, I was actually performing quite often. And then over the years, I sort of slowed down. I focused on my other career. So now I have more time.
You've been doing this since you were 9, you say, rather. You've had this interest.
When I was interested.
Yeah. So how have you improved this craft, and what's your plan now moving forward?
Actually, I improved on it by constantly practicing it on my friends and people who are willing to see me perform. So at one time I had a show, a corporate show for companies that actually engage me to actually perform in front of them.
So you call it a performance. In my head, I'm like, imagining it to be like a magician up on stage, but it's very different from that. It's
different because magicians, they're doing illusions, they're using props and stuff like that. I have none of those. You know. So for example, earlier on I asked you that I told you I might be able to pick up some props.
Off air, Sean asked me to think of something, an image which I've thought of. I've made it quite difficult.
So I don't have the specifics, but I think you're thinking of something that is very colorful, that has a lot of yellows, a lot of reds, right? Some blue, and there's a little bit of could be a night scene or something. And I think you're thinking of something like a painting of some sort. Is that the case?
I did put in the word painting, but the image that I have in mind is the Eiffel Tower in Paris.
Oh, the Eiffel Tower, okay. Right. So, because I thought it's something to do with painting in the first place.
It can be on a painting.
Okay, all right.
And in a sunset scene, it can be sort of red and yellow.
So you can see, so you can see that I actually need a little bit more time if I were to really read somebody's mind. So that few minutes is not enough for me.
All right.
Sometimes. But it depends on the person as well.
Very quickly before I let you go, any ideas or thoughts on some prediction for tomorrow's headlines? Okay, help us on the show here. We don't have to come into the office so early.
I only focus on one specific date, which is on the 17th.
Okay.
And that will be ideal. Because otherwise, every day is like I'm predicting something, which is going to take a lot of toll on me.
That's right.
Especially now when it's, so early in the morning that I came in, so yeah.
All right, thank you so much, Sean. Wishing you all the best for Sunday, the 17th of November. For the public who would like to find out more, you can visit Sean's website, seantan.co, or otherwise log on online to get more information on how you can be part of, I guess, this initiative that is raising, funds for a good cause. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with more. Welcome back. I'm Jessie Chahal. You're watching Bernama Today. We move on into some international news. Puppy love interrupted a recent interview for the new Lady and the Tramp live action movie. Justin Theroux and Tessa Thompson, whose voices are basically the two little characters, were speaking about their movie with their on-screen counterparts when Monty, who plays the Tramp, leaned over to give Rose, who plays Lady, a sweet little kiss. So it was really nice and cute to see, of course, during a live interview as well. These are some clips from the latest movie. Can't wait to watch it, especially for those of you who are animal lovers. Let's take a quick look.
Just remember, I got this the old-fashioned way. I stole it. Hey! Come back here! Whoa! Snob Hill.
There we go. I got my collar.
A beautiful childhood classic. Well, an annual charity design competition featuring structures made of canned goods is on display in the United States in New York. 31 structures built with unopened cans of food made up the Canstruction exhibit set up in a New York shopping mall. Right here we see these images. This is at Brookfield Place, and this art will remain on display right till November 21st in case you're traveling there. With the structures, it will then be dismantled and the food will be donated to a local food bank called City Harvest. You can of course check it out online as well. Moving on to Switzerland, all things gold and glittery. A 7-carat rectangle rectangular blue diamond set to fetch up to $14 million as part of its magnificent jewels and noble jewels collection. Sotheby's Jewelry is presenting this massive 78.29 carat pear-shaped diamond for sale on the 13th of November. Now, both Sotheby's and Christie's allude to an up and down diamond market at the moment, with Raplin acknowledging that the market for white diamonds in particular has gone soft, though he's quick to mention that the 78 carat offering should attract buyers because of its, well, you guessed it, exceptional size. This is Sotheby's most celebrated lot this season. It also includes another blue diamond ring, a vivid blue diamond ring, or rather diamond, weighing 3 carats with an estimate of 3.7 or 4.7 million Swiss francs. Sotheby's says its sales features property of an important Asian American collection with some of the world's most prestigious houses included. All right, beautiful there to look at, easy on the eyes. Would be great on me as well. All right, moving on to China. They say they want their own Yellowstone. There's been a building frenzy in the country, in China, but it's not about skyscrapers or high-speed rail lines anymore. The Chinese government wants to build its own version of one of the US's proudest legacies, a national park system. China's economy has boomed over the past 40 years, but the country's priorities are now expanding to include conserving its key natural resources. One of the first pilot parks to be unveiled in 2020 will be in Qinghai, a vast region in the western part of China. And of course, this is home to iconic and threatened species, including the snow leopard and the Chinese mountain cat. And moving on in our next story. Well, I guess that's all the time we have on this edition of Bernama Today. Thank you for keeping it tuned on right here. Keep it locked on to Bernama TV for more updates coming your way. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.